Hello. I realized I had me muted. I'm so used to having me muted in case I have crying children and chaos in the background. So hello, Rachel, Giacomo. So good to see you guys. Thank you for being here. Ellen Michael, so good to see you. You guys are the best. I love seeing you pop up in the comments. Today is the last day of March, the last day of the first quarter, and we're here to be together. I promised myself I would go live every calendar month of the year of 2023. And like always, I push it off till the very last second. At least I knew I was doing it this time. Like it was an intentional, I'm going to do it on the last day of March since it's a Friday on the 31st. But hopefully April, I might do it a little bit sooner. So anyways, thank you for being here. I appreciate you spending your time with me. I know that we're all busy and we all have things to do. And so anytime I see you come up in the comments, it just makes me happy and just gives me good feels. So thank you, Rachel. Thanks for saying at least you did it. Good job. Thank you. So a little bit about me. Most of you know me, but I am a live stream producer and a content traffic cop is another way I like to refer to myself, because I think a lot of times, like social media manager, there's lots of different ways to be that. And the little way I like to be that is I like to be the squeaky wheel or the content traffic cop for your content, because I know that we all think, oh, I'll do that later. Oh, I'll post that later. But I'm kind of the person that's like, hey, where's that post that's supposed to go out next Tuesday? And it's not like I'm producing your content, but I'm making you produce your content. And I'm also making sure it goes all the right places at the right times. So that's kind of how I've decided I'm going to refer to my job as. Hi, Mia. Good to see you. Anyways, so that's a little bit about me. And I want you guys to jump in the comments and let me know what are your wins and your fails of March. So when I started this, we're failing into 2023. Me and Jeff did a conversation about failure and how that's not the end point and it's actually a really good starting point. And how really successful, awesome people aren't scared of failure. And I guess I'm not a really awesome, successful person just yet because I still am a little bit afraid of failure, which is why I'm trying to do these things and share the wins and the fails as I go through 2023. So let me know what yours are, personal work, whatever you want in the comments. For me, a huge win for me personally and like all of my people is that StreamYard, the software that I use to do these live streams and to help other people do these live streams, came out with a new feature that I am so freaking excited about, you guys. We can now stream to our guest destinations, meaning if somebody's on screen with me, like Mia, if you're on screen with me, it would go to your LinkedIn as well at the same time. The best part about this is that it would also bring all of the comments into this one section so we could see your audience and my audience at the exact same time as you're live, which is huge. There's other platforms that have tried to do this, like streaming to both places, and it just hasn't exactly worked the way that I'm really excited to see it's working on StreamYard, which is that all the comments are going to come through in the same spot so we can all have a conversation, whether you're joining from the producer or the content creators or their guest profiles. So it's going to be awesome. Hey, James, I'm glad you're here. my fail has to do with something that James helped me with. So that's my win of March, is this new StreamYard feature, which is huge for everybody. Super exciting. My fail of March was I was really excited about starting these little seeds, and they're growing and they're doing so good. And then I was talking to James, and he mentioned leggy plants. I didn't know that was like a thing. Leggy plants. Apparently mine are leggy. They were leggy. I've now transferred them, and hopefully they will survive. But I think that my little broccoli may have gone the way of the wind. It may be gone. So, but again, that was another thing that I was really excited about failing at this year, was gardening and trying new things like planting seeds. So that's my failure. Let me know if you want to share yours. If you don't, that's fine. But we're just here to kind of celebrate each other. And also, I want to make sure that this space is a space where you can ask questions that maybe other places you would feel kind of silly asking. We're asking all the questions here. If you don't understand something, if there's some new softwares, things that just seems like everybody's figured out except for you, this is the place to ask that question. So, okay, Notion, let's dive in. Let's get to it. Let's see. So Giacomo says, best tips you can give about Notion, especially for someone that is starting to use it. My number one biggest tip for using Notion is ignore all of the noise on the left column. We'll talk about it in a little bit, but there's like all of these like templates and cool things that you can do that they give you, which is super great once you get the hang of Notion. But when you're first joining it, it looks like chaos and confusion. So that's my number one biggest tip. Don't get overwhelmed. Ignore the templates. So, all right. Okay, so here's what we're doing today. We just talked and shared our wins and our failures. We're going to talk about what Notion is, how to create a content page, adjusting your views, which is where it gets exciting, assigning tasks, and then we'll just go over questions. But as we go, please feel free to jump in and ask as we are moving through things. So you all know Notion's one of my favorite softwares. I use it for everything from project management to content creation. And so this live that we're talking about, because Notion can be extremely overwhelming, is all about like content creation and just making it simple for you to create, to brainstorm content is a better way of saying it. Let's see, Rachel asked, what should we use Notion for? All kinds of organization? Yes. So you can use Notion for as little or as much as you want, is kind of what I've discovered with Notion. Is it's like, okay, if all you want is a content calendar, sweet, this is a great software for that. If you want to use it to like project management, maybe even like a place to have like operations manuals, like manager manuals, what role everybody in your company takes, a CRM type of tool. All of that can be done on Notion. Today, we're just going to talk about like a content calendar, but Rachel, we need to talk. I'll tell you more. Okay. So as far as content's concerned on Notion, this is great for organizing, planning, collaborating. This is not a scheduling tool for social media. So this is just where you and your team or your brain, like for me, sometimes I'm like, oh, this is a great idea. And then I read it back and I'm like, that wasn't a great idea, Shelby, at 2:00 in the morning. So it's like a great place to just kind of like brainstorm, get the rough drafts down, kind of like maybe you're out on a walk and you're like, oh, that's a good idea for a piece of content, but you don't have enough time to like flesh it out. This is kind of like the place where you can organize and make sense of the chaos in your brain. Maybe it's just my brain that's chaotic, but I have a feeling it's not, because I've worked with a lot of people who also have these like bing, bing, great thoughts and great ideas, and we're just trying to like get them organized. You know what I mean? Let's see, Ellen, let's go back to you. Your big win. My big win was letting myself take unplanned time off after big personal life challenges. Let's just give it up for Ellen, Michael. That's awesome. I think that's a big thing today, this week, for all of us. Taking the time that we need, even if it's unplanned, can be hard, but can also make us come back to work in a much better, clearer mindset. So I love that you shared that. Thanks, Ellen Michael. I love that. Okay, so let's dive into the meat and potatoes. I always say that saying wrong. Okay, so how to create a content calendar. So when you get to Notion, you're going to have just like a blank screen with a little cursor, which can be extremely difficult to some brains. Other brains not so much. But what you're going to do is hit this little add a page is going to be on the left-hand side, and you're just going to click the plus button. Then you're going to title it content calendar. Easy peasy. So check, check. We did that. What you're going to do, like I mentioned earlier when Giacomo was saying what's the biggest tip, ignore the sidebar, the left sidebar. You're going to hit this little close sidebar and that sucker will go away and you won't have to look at it. You'll just have this blank screen that says content calendar and then all of these like import templates, table, all of these options. But honestly, what you can do is just click right there and type whatever you want. Like it can just be a blank screen if you want it to be. So then for what we're doing right now, hit the calendar button. Literally that simple. Ta-da, you have a calendar. So it's going to just be this block that says content calendar and then an actual literal content calendar. So it's just that simple, guys. Honestly, it is that simple. If that's all you want, there you go. And you can just use and drag things around as you wish. But I obviously like it because it can get a little bit more in depth. So let me know if I'm going too fast or if you have questions as we go through this, because I know sometimes I can be bad about thinking that everybody knows what I know. And so I like try to hurry through it. So I'm trying to get better at that. But so far, pretty easy. You literally just hit the calendar button and it adds to a calendar to your blank page. So the cool thing about this, and this is where it gets like a little bit more, is when you hover over the day of the month that you want to add something, you'll have this little plus sign. So what that plus sign will do is create a page in a page. Okay. So you'll have content calendar, you'll hit the plus sign, and then you'll have page for that specific post. Does that make sense? So it'll pull up something like this. That'll look like the content calendar is in the background, and then there's this new page if you need it. So on this, for example, I put video post. If that's the kind of post that I want to post next Thursday, and I'm just going to add it to the calendar, I need to do a video post, I can put it there. This is where you can like kind of get more in depth. You can create templates for your individual pages. So for example, how I use this is with the template, I will create a template that has a little block that says like video link, because usually I'll link that to Dropbox, like a storage program. So I'll say video link, and then I'll do caption. And then at the end of it, I'll do 2 little to-do boxes, which is another you just can add on Notion, that says whoever I'm working with approves this caption, and then Shelby posts it. So then we can see if somebody's just on Notion, they're like, okay, like I'm going to edit this. Okay, I approve it. And then you can have me come in later, whenever that is, and post it on the day that you want it posted or whatever. Or if you want to add it into some sort of scheduler, same concept. So let's see, can you make them repeat every week? Explain this one to me, James, a little bit more. So do you mean that like, can we make this event repeat over and over again? So if you want a video post every Thursday, can you make that repeat? If that's what you're meaning, let me know in the comments and I'll kind of dive into that a little bit more. Okay, so we have our video post, we have the template if we want it. And then we are going to assign it tags. This is where it gets cool. So for example, for video or for content, like there's video, written, live, newsletter, whatever it is that you're trying to put out, maybe a podcast, something like that, we can tag each one. And this comes into play later when we go over the views. Okay, so sorry, James is saying yes to the, can we make it repeat every week? Let me, you know what, James, I just use the template every week. So when I am going into, say, so next Thursday I do a video post, then the Thursday after that I'd hit the plus and I'd hit create the video post template, and it would auto populate everything for me. But I don't think that you can add like a repeating task in the same way you would like Gmail or Google Calendar. Here's my other, like my workaround for that. If you want to get really technical, Zapier, how do you say that? Is it Zapier or Zapier? Anyways, Zapier can create new things for you every week. So what I've done for tasks that I'm doing repeatedly is I'm creating a Zap to make it happen in Notion every week. And that kind of gets a little bit complicated, and maybe we do a whole live about Zapier. But that's my workaround for that. So if you need help with that, James, just let me know because it's worked great for me. So, okay, so we're assigning tags to stay organized. So this is where it gets exciting. We can add different views to the content. So I think we all work differently. I know we all work differently. And some people see a calendar and they're like, oh, that makes sense. That looks great. Wonderful. Other people see a calendar and go, okay, cool. But like, I don't want to have to click over and see April's whatever. So you can make different views of how you view the content. And depending on what you're doing, like for me, I look at different views on my calendar all the time so that I make sure I'm not missing things or like, anyway, we'll go into that in a little bit. Okay, maybe Ella Michael, maybe we will do one on that because Zapier can get a little intense. Okay, so here are our different views. Calendar, like we've been talking about. Table view. I love table view because it's like a list. Like it's like a to-do list that just auto, like, I guess maybe I should explain this. Maybe I'm not making sense. What you create on, say, March 15th, when you add this table view, will automatically put it in a table for you to view it that way. So you can view it both ways. You can edit it both ways, and it's going to show up on both. And then you can also do a board. So it has like live, newsletter, video, written. The way I use that for clients is different client names. So I can see exactly like where everything is. There's also a different view for timeline, which is really helpful. So all of these views all play nice together, and they all, like, you can see it all the different ways. That's why it's views. I just feel like I'm maybe not making sense on that. So I knew that that was going to be like kind of a hard thing to explain, the views option. So if there are any questions on that, like let's dive in, ask me in the chat, and we will kind of get into that. But that is where this can really, really benefit you and your team. Looking at different views, having different ways that you can edit the content and it's showing up everywhere. And then you can drag and drop things. So say you missed your video post on Thursday, the 15th, you can drag that page to Monday, the, I don't know, 18th, whatever it would be. And then it, like, all that content stays. So you're not having to duplicate, you're not having to like copy paste. You can just kind of drag it around. Because truth be told, like I do that all the time for my personal stuff where I'm like, oh, this is a great idea that I want to put out on the 15th. And then the 15th comes and goes and I didn't do it. So then I drag it down so that I can still have that concept and that idea to work on the following week or whatever it is. So, all right, let's see. Okay, I recommend doing it along with Shelby. You know what, Rachel? I was worried about this too. For the different views, you have to click the plus button to see the options that she was talking about. Thank you for catching me on that, Rachel, and pointing that out, because I think I did kind of like blow past that. Yeah, so up by where like there's a calendar, there's the big old calendar, and then there's like a little thing that says, here's calendar. And then you have like a little plus button, and it'll say what views. Also, just in case you're getting like overwhelmed and trying to follow along right now, I am going to give you like a way to just add it to your calendar if you want to at the end of this, or add it to your Notion if you want to. So if you're watching this and I've lost you and you're off in the weeds, like, or I'm off in the weeds and I've completely confused everybody, there is a way for you to just like add it onto your Notion at the end. But yes, and also just for those of you who haven't joined live streams, you can go back and watch this when I'm done. You can go back and like go through this, and it'll be on YouTube too, which is a little bit easier to play back and forth on. So here is where this gets exciting if you work with a team. If you don't work with a team, this is still exciting. Because at some point you're going to get so dang good at your content calendar that you're going to have to work with the team. And this is how you can kind of make that process a lot easier. So up at the top, for all of you that are actually in Notion right now, you're going to see the title, you're going to see the date, and you're going to see a tag. You can hit plus to add a new property. There's going to be loads of new properties that you can add. And as you get into that, it'll be super fun and exciting for you to like add different things like that. The one that I want to talk about right now is selecting people. So depending on how you work with your team or what you're doing, you might have somebody who does the video editing and somebody who does, I don't know, usually it's a video editor, let's be honest. So when you go into this person property, you can assign it to them. So if you're like, okay, like I've recorded the video and I've written my caption, but I need you to make it look pretty or edit the video, you just assign it to them there. A nice happy little notification will come up in their email. You don't have to bug them. They will see it, and then they can do their little bit, and it's just like a lot calmer, I feel like, of a way versus Slack or emails where it just feels like bing, 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 bing. This kind of is like a good way for like if somebody signs into Notion in the morning, they can see exactly what they need to do to help on the content calendar. So I love, love, love that. The other cool thing about this, and this again is kind of getting like a little bit more technical, is you can filter for each team member what their to-dos are. So what I do is I create a little hub for each member of my team, and then on the hub, it'll just be Shelby's tasks, or it'll just be James' tasks, or it'll just be Ella Michael's task. Like, so you can see the big old list of random things, or you can just see the things that you need to do or they need to do. So that has been a huge, huge game changer for me and the way I work. I've tried a lot of different softwares for content, and I like that this doesn't, when you go to edit it, super simple to edit, and when you go to like collaborate with your team, it's super seamless that way. I do have one critique for Notion. Sometimes when you go to copy and paste the post into LinkedIn, or mostly I do LinkedIn. So when I go to copy and paste things into LinkedIn, that's where I have a little bit of a gripe with Notion, is that for whatever reason, I don't know if it has to do with like what the back end of it looks like, it'll like space it out weird. So when you copy and paste it into your LinkedIn, just be aware of the spacing between. So if you're doing like one sentence and enter and then another sentence, sometimes when you copy and paste it into LinkedIn, it'll like throw an extra space in there, like between the two. So just be aware of that when you are adding them to your actual social media content. I'm curious if there's anybody here that uses like Buffer or social media scheduling tools. I feel like social media has kind of gotten hip on the whole scheduling thing. So now we can schedule straight on LinkedIn, we can schedule straight on Instagram. But I'm curious if there's anybody who's still using those scheduling tools and what they think about that, and if Notion and them play nice. So if any of you do, later on, shoot me a DM and let me know like if this works nice with those tools. So that is basically how to create it. So I'm curious, James and Rachel, are you lost over there on Notion? How are you feeling? Like, did that make sense? Do you have any questions for me? I'm glad that you chimed in, Rachel, and talked about that plus button because I totally went past that. But just let me know if there's anything else that is not making sense. So let's see, Rachel, it's on my list, but haven't gotten to it yet. Do you mean the scheduling tools? I have like a love-hate. I like, because I think they're great if you're super like ready to go in there. But I know, especially for people that produce a lot of content, being that far in advance is it's kind of hard to get that much stuff scheduled in your app. And then also I feel like sometimes it's like not, I don't know, like it's not vibing with you on that day, or like that's not what you want to post. So let's see. Rachel says, I'm actually pretty good. I've played around with it. Need to make the time to build out my content calendar. Yes, 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 yes. I hope this is like a good, just like gets you something on your Notion board where you can start to add your content into it. There is an option. So the little slashy mark on the keyboard, I'm sure there's a technical term for it. If you hit that, a bunch of options are going to come up. One that I use all the time on these content calendars is the image. You can add an image, or if you're doing a carousel here on LinkedIn, you can add a PDF. So if you, this is kind of a different rabbit hole, but like when you're posting on LinkedIn, if you hit adding a document, it has to be PDF. So that's another way that I like get things queued. Okay, James says, a lot to digest. Yes, I know. I need to get some time set aside to dig into this and figure out how to utilize it with my team. You're going to love it. I'm really, really excited for you, and I hope that you let me know how it goes. So just in case I lost you and you're like, I don't care, Shelby, just give me a content calendar, go ahead and scan this. I ended up putting it as a digital product on my website so that if you just want to get it on your Notion, here's how you do it. So I'll leave that up for just a second. But I am so glad that you guys came and joined me for this 30-minute live. I know that there's a lot to this. And I know I've had this conversation with several people where they're like, I know Notion is cool, I just don't know how to use it. And that's what I kind of want to help you with, because I searched the internet for for a tool like this for the past 3 years, and this has been the one that finally is like, okay, like I can add links easily. I can like have everything I need. For example, like I have links to headshots that are just right there if I need them. I have links to people's like, I don't know, their profiles so that they're right there. Everything is all in one space and it's super nice. But when you start Notion, it feels overwhelming. But don't get overwhelmed. You can do it. And you can ask me if there is any like weird questions that come up. So please reach out to me. My email address is right here. Make sure you connect with me here on LinkedIn because I love talking to you and I love doing these lives. And I want this to kind of be a place where less presentation, more workshop, where we can kind of like work through these things together. So if in the future there's some program, like maybe we do Zapier, that is just like bamboozling you and you know it's going to be good, but you can't figure out how to get to the goodness, let's talk about it. Let's see if I know anything about it. Some I do, some I don't. but just kind of help each other with that learning curve, because it's hard to learn all of the things, and it's overwhelming, and I feel like there's just new technology hitting us in the face every day. So anyway, that being said, thank you so much for spending this time with me. I am so excited to see more content from you because of these content calendars. And yeah, just let me know if you have any other questions. So, all right, have a great Friday and a great weekend. And I will see you in April.